Hey guys, thank you for watching again. We come from another episode of our Drunken History. We are coming to you live from our hangout. We're at Gusano's in Fort Smith, Arkansas. We are here with Travis, as always, and Megan and Bobby, who are the best bartender in the world and the manager here at Gusano's. Yeah. Bobby, by the way, is a Green Bay Packers fan. So fuck you, Chicago Bears.
Yeah. This week we decided to do a episode on the second oldest profession in the world of bartending. So I think you all know what the first oldest profession is in the world. But
prostitution.
Is it really?
Oh yeah.
Makes sense. That's great.
Yeah. Mary Magdalene started it all.
Yeah. So we thought would be the best to come to see our favorite bar, our favorite bartender, and when we do our trivia night here at Gusano's, we have our nerd night that we do, and we'll do our episode on bartending. So maybe they have some stories that we can do here later when we talk about bartending, but we'll do a little bit of history of it and see where it goes.
Do you guys know when bartending started? Because Travis does.
So really, if on the research, the bartending, they said they can trace back all the way to the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans, and the Greeks were really older than the Romans, so I guess it goes all the way back to them. And back then, the Greeks, if you were a bartender, really you were in charge of making the wine. Not only were you serving the wine, you were making it and making your spirits, making your wine, and serving it to your customers. And we did an episode a while back on bar games, and they said some of the bar games like beer pong and what was the other one? It was
we did Presidents and Assholes. We did beer pong. We did.
There was another one. It was. There's another game. Well, so they traced that all the way back to the ancient Greeks, where they would take the tails of their wine glass, because back then the wine wasn't filtered. It wasn't
chunky wine.
Clear. So they'd take like the last little bit of their wine glass and they would swirl around and throw it at a target, like a spittoon or a bucket, and throw it across the room for bets. And that's how kind of like beer pong and different bar games.
If you guys aren't busy, we can go to Uncork next door and play that game.
Right.
They'll appreciate it.
Yeah. So
that'd be great.
So you got your bartending goes all the way back to ancient Greece.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So you know your history goes back that far, right?
Second oldest profession?
Second oldest profession.
Wow. That's...
If you want to take credit for that, yeah.
Props to you, man.
The fact that they had to make their own wine.
We've come up with a designation on our own with that. I mean, it may have been conjointly. You never know.
Right.
We'll call it
having to make your own drink. Make your own drinks.
So, I don't know. I know Travis did too. When I was in Afghanistan, I used to brew my own wine.
Yeah.
Did you really?
In a locker in a tent.
That would be what do they call that? I lost the word for it. Hang on.
Making your own wine? I didn't know it was that simple.
Oh yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, we used to order the shit off.
Allegedly, that's the word.
Allegedly. Yeah, you might not want to.
I don't give a shit anymore. It's been years. If they want to come after me for that, I don't fucking care. No, we ordered our shit off it was like spiked.com.
And there was the
website. And it had
DIYwine.com was one.
Yeah, it came with like a little cork thing that had like a turkey injector thing, and like you poured yeast in it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And it tasted fucking terrible. And
you go to the chow hall and you get the big jug of concentrated grape juice.
Yes, we did. Yeah,
we
did the same thing. Yeah, we would do the concentrated grape juice, and then we would pour it in there, and then we ordered yeast, and we would pour it in this little stopper thing, and then what else did we have? There was one other thing we had to do with it, but it took like 2 weeks for it to form. But we put it in these do you remember like the No Explode?
Like the jugs of like protein powder or whatever.
They had an energy drink. It was like the original energy drink.
If you get like the 5-pound jug of protein powder, it holds like 4 gallons if you put liquid in it. Then we would do those, yeah.
Well, we would pour it into these energy drink bottles and then sit outside of our tent in Afghanistan after work and drink them, and then people would be like, and it was like fucking hardcore, like workout shit, and they'd be like, "Are you drinking that and going to bed?" And you're like, "Yeah." No, it was like straight up fucking like prison toilet fucking grape juice.
Oh yeah, toilet tank grape juice. Yeah, it did the job though.
Oh yeah, we got shit housed.
That's funny.
So when you get back to a little bit of the history of bartending, you look at after the Greeks and Romans, and you get toward the Middle Ages. You get the in the 15th, 14th, 15th century in Europe, they were known as innkeepers. And the innkeepers, they would have like a restaurant, a pub. You think of like Europe, you
hotel.
You think of like a bed and breakfast kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and the innkeepers would they would make homemade wine, they'd make homemade beer or ale, and they would serve it to their customers, and that's how also. So it'd be like a bed and breakfast that served your wine and beer to your customers.
The term reminds me of like the horse and groom.
Yeah, exactly. They're in
Lincoln.
Waddington.
Yeah, we both went to this. There was a base in England. It's called Waddington. Like 2 years apart, we were there.
Yeah,
but
we didn't even know each other at the time. We were there
yeah.
at different times and didn't even know each other.
Yeah, but the hotel, we both stayed in the Doubletree Hilton, or Hilton, whatever the fuck, Hilton Doubletree. And there's a restaurant right next to it called the Horse and Groom that is like a classic.
That's what's great about England, though, too, because all the little bars and pubs had these awesome names. Like you had the Horse and Groom, and right down the road from there was the Witch in the Wardrobe, and there was like.
What was the one that was the like riverboat thing that was out there?
Yeah, that was. Oh man, I have to look it up because I don't even know the. But yeah, they all had these weird or little iconic little names with them that, and some of them were hundreds of years old. That would anything way older than anything we have here.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is kind of cool thing about Europe.
Yeah,
the history of it is amazing. Yeah.
There's the one. It's in, I don't remember what city it is. It's in England. It's one of the oldest pubs in England.
Nottingham.
Is it in Nottingham?
Yeah, it's called. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but it's in Nottingham.
And it started out as like a chapel or a church, and then it moved into a pub. And
it's in the like foundation of Nottingham Castle.
Yeah. Oh, the one in the cave below.
Yeah, the cave one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was been operational since like the 1300s.
It closed this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
It closed this year because of COVID.
Just imagine
And it
It's
didn't
the
reopen?
it's the oldest bar in the world,
Yeah.
Wow.
and it closed because of fucking COVID. Yeah.
Ah, that's sad.
The freaking cold shut it down forever.
Yeah.
No, hopefully it'll reopen. But yeah, that was one thing, really cool thing about you going to some of those places in England and Germany. That some of those places are just so much older than they are here,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
and just being able to see some
Dude,
of that stuff.
I went to, so I did a like a fucking 2-week German class trip when I was in high school, and we landed in Vienna, Austria, and we went downtown, and I ended up luckily rooming with 2 of my buddies, and there was like 14, 15 of us, and then we met up with students from like Texas, Kansas, Ohio, I don't know, a couple other places, whatever. And we ended up going downtown to this place, and it was called Cafe Guitarra, and it was like the Guitar Cafe is what it translates to, whatever. But it was in Vienna, and it was like for a 400-year-old bar.
Wow.
That's incredible. Yeah,
And but the cool thing, the bartenders were the owners. It was these two guys that they were the bartenders, but they were the owners, and they had me and all my we hung out there like 3 nights in a row, and we spent a fuck ton of money there. But these guys were cool as shit, and they had us sign an American dollar bill and hang it on a wall on a clothespin, and then if they were like, come back whenever, and if you can replicate the signature, you'll drink for free.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
That's a pretty good deal.
It was,
right?
it was really fucking cool, man.
Heck yeah.
That's dope. Wow.
There's a place I saw. I was looking. This ad popped up. I was looking at YouTube or something, but it said you're looking for people to be a king in England. I'm like, what is this? So I clicked on it, looked at it, and so there's this place. It's a tourist area, but there's an island, and it's off the coast of England. and I can't remember the name of the island of it, but it's got like an old castle on it. That's all kind of ruined castle. That's like a tourist area. But they have an inn and a pub, and they're looking for somebody like a family, like a man and wife or a family, to come run the inn and run the tourist castle area, and then they will grant you lordship of the island while you're employed as a caretaker of this place.
Let's go.
And that's where?
It's in England.
Down, yeah.
Wow.
I was trying to talk the wife into doing it.
She said no.
That would be so cool.
She's still undecided on it yet.
No, this is ongoing. Like
long-
you realize you have competition now.
Oh,
As long as it doesn't turn into some Jurassic Park island, I think you guys might ought to go.
This place
Losorna is coming for you.
because
motherfucker.
it's a you get to run the restaurant and the pub how you see fit for it's like a 1-year contract, and you're the king of the island, and you get to make all the decisions.
Dude.
Do you get a crown?
Yes, there's a throne. There's a throne and a crown, and there's a change of command ceremony kind of thing in the old castle and all that. Yeah, you get to sit
Shit's
there.
legit.
You are a
This
legit
whole
lord.
episode is giving me Games of Thrones vibes.
I have
I'm
not
gonna
watched
rule
Game
with
of
an iron
Thrones.
fist. I tell ya.
Totally down for all of it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I feel like we should have done
It'd be
it
the
by
first
wine.
first
Like,
American king of this island.
There you
Fuck
go.
yeah. Dude, so just taking it back over.
Yeah, just taking it back over.
Yeah.
There we go. Reverse acquisitions there.
Bitches.
Oh, they would be so pissed.
Oh yeah.
It's like, you Americans.
So Megan, how long have you been tending bar?
How long have I been tending bar? I've been tending bar for, gosh, how long has Gusano's been open?
Right at about 5 years. We're a couple months under 5 years.
No way.
Has
Yeah.
it been,
Really been that long?
Really?
It totally
No
has been that
way.
long. Yeah, I know.
It has not
Holy
felt
I
like
was,
that.
Right.
yeah, I was totally 5 years younger when we started.
Dude, oh, absolutely.
That is
now,
incredible.
wow.
Because I remember you from across the street over there.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah. That's a whole story within itself. They actually gave me my start at bartending over at JJ's. And I was there for maybe 3 months bartending. And I was like, all right, Gusano's open up. I hopped over here. I was like, please hire me as a bartender. So
Yeah.
now I guess a total like almost five years. Over
Okay.
5 years a little bit. If Gusano's is hitting 5 years, then
Man.
What's your favorite drink to make?
what's my favorite drink to make? Oh, God.
So there's always drinks that bartenders, they don't mind to make, and then there's ones they're like, oh.
I can tell you which one I fucking hate.
Old fashioned, everybody's like, fuck, I gotta smoke this thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
I gotta
But-
muddle some shit.
Yeah.
If somebody, no,
This
I
old
like to
guy
make.
wants me to muddle this cherry.
Oh, absolutely. If you ask me to make an old fashioned, I'm gonna be cursing you out of my head. Like,
you don't like-
100%.
you don't
Absolutely
like-
fucking hate.
so
Number
you don't
one,
like Cooper.
least favorite drink to.
So some
Yeah.
bartenders, it's like they have their cocktails where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I can see that Sam's bartending. I might want to go check on that old fashioned. You know what I mean? Like,
They're just, people are very particular about how they like their drinks. My least favorite drink to make is an old fashioned. My favorite drink to make is probably a margarita. Margaritas are similar.
I love
People aren't very
margaritas.
picky
Oh,
about
yeah.
their
So,
margaritas.
do you like them slushy or over the rocks?
With
Yeah.
tequila.
We don't care what form it comes in.
You just
No.
hold everything but.
I don't know, man. I'm an alcoholic, so I like to do mine on the rocks so I can just like chug it if I,
I
have
like on the rocks with some salt.
I'm the
Okay.
same boat, man. I'm not a slushy
Yeah.
person. Like, if I want a fucking snow cone, I'll go to somebody's pull behind trailer.
Do you guys like margaritas? What's your favorite drink?
Ooh,
I like
love
margaritas, but I'm a classic, like, no shit. Like, I like Gentleman Jack on rocks, no mixer. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. Like, I'm totally cool sipping whiskey.
a good
But
drink.
I don't have a problem drinking number 7 on the rocks. Like, I don't have to have a
See, I
mixer. or
can't do
anything.
that.
And it's not that I like Coke with it, but I like it by itself more. And I don't know why. It's not like I'm not trying to flex or whatever. And like I don't. I just
one of those
like the
things. It's
flavor.
just
I just like the flavor.
Okay.
drinking black coffee. Or
Right.
whatever.
It's like
like-
it's an acquired taste. For
Yeah, and I did not like Jack for a long time. Like, it was an acquired taste. I actually, like, once I was legal, I drank a lot more rum than anything until I moved into whiskey as I got a little older, I guess. And now I fucking hate rum.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. If I drink rum, like, do you guys have Don Q?
Don Julio.
No, Don Q.
We don't have
That's a
Don
rum?
Q.
So Don Q it's and I didn't even know it, and like not many places in the States have. It's a Puerto Rican rum, and it's a fucking good ass rum. It's just for some reason it's not big in the States. I don't like Malibu. Malibu tastes like fucking suntan lotion.
Well, Malibu, it's over processed and loaded. It's got
And
extra
loaded
sugar,
and copper
So
tone,
much
flavors,
sugar.
and it has
Yeah.
copper tone.
It's got copper tone in it.
Yeah, I don't like Bacardi's okay, but like Don Q is like my favorite rum. It's just hard to find.
It's crazy how Bacardi though has become one of the biggest rum producers and biggest liquor or spirit producers in the world now too, because they own several other companies
I didn't
too.
know
Yeah,
Oh, do they? Wow.
yeah. We'll have to do when we do our Hemingway episode, when we talk about rum, we'll have to go into Bacardi,
Yeah,
because he was
Hemingway
big in
was-
Bacardi
he
in
was-
mojitos.
The dude was awesome.
So
Mojitos. That's one thing I've never had to make as a bartender. is a
You've
mojito.
never made a mojito?
mojitos are it's one of those things.
I don't-
I don't like making them, but they're actually really good.
I don't like mint.
You don't?
I can't imagine drinking that.
It's not my
Drinking
thing.
It's good. It's good.
I
Yeah,
say that,
they're
and
good.
I love a
I
chocolate
love
chip.
the smell of mint.
Yeah. Mint chip ice cream is my favorite.
So
ice
like
cream.
I'm totally cool with
Yeah.
like Wrigley's double mint gum,
Yeah.
but as far as like a mojito is not
Right, drinking
not
it's
my
like
shit.
meh.
It's one of those things like in the summertime when it's hot or you're out by the pool, mojito kind of fits. But it's like
But
not
so
something you're-
so does a gentleman Jack, and then you're just like cool.
I don't know about that.
Bobby, how did you get your start?
And
Yeah, have you ever bartended?
Did you bartend?
I have never bartended. So my background in this all started in the kitchen. And there's still things that I use daily that I learned at 13, 14 years old. Yeah, my first job was at a fried food buffet, basically.
Yeah.
That also sold burgers and stuff. So salads, there was some fresh food element to it. It wasn't just completely, fryer, frozen bag, fryer oil, whatever. And so anyway, I've been working in kitchens for 10 plus years. By the time I'm like 24 or so, and I had dropped out of college, and finally someone asked me to run a kitchen for them. That was a local Outback Steakhouse, and I ended up running that kitchen for close to 5 years
Here
Yeah.
in town?
here in town.
Really?
Yeah.
So are you local Fort Smith? You're like from here?
I graduated high school and immediately moved to Fort Smith. And when I first moved up here, I was going to college,
Oh, no
but
shit.
that didn't last. That only lasted like a year for me. So
You beat me, bro. I made
Yeah.
it this semester.
So my last year at Outback, I start to learn how they operate their front of house systems, learn how to do their bar, more from a managerial side of things. I'd never worked a bartending shift. A couple weeks ago, Nikki had to leave like in an emergency situation Sunday lunch.
No
Thank
way.
God it was a slow Sunday.
You had to bartend?
But for like 30 minutes, I was the bartender. And, and it's like one of those things like everyone's tabs are already open and they actively like need refills. And people are in different phases of ordering food, getting their boxes, paying for their stuff. And it was literally like I was sweating bullets. You know?
It is true.
See, like I think I could hang bartending as long as I'm filling beers or making rum and cokes. But if it starts getting more complicated stuff, there's certain things like a mojito I know how to make, or a margarita I know how to make. But if somebody orders an old fashioned or a Manhattan or something like that,
Right.
I'm not gonna know how to make that shit.
Exactly right.
When I was in Korea, I did a year in Korea from 05 to 06, and I worked off the books at this bar downtown in Osan. It's called Pyeongtaek is the name of the town.
You
Korea.
worked as a bartender?
Yeah.
That's
well,
cool.
I won't say that I worked. I was there.
Right.
But it was
Drinking.
It's
Oh,
called
shit.
a bar called Christine's downtown, and the girl who owned it was Korean, but she grew up in San Francisco and then moved
Hell yeah.
back
Cool.
and started her bar.
Wow.
Probably rent's a lot cheaper there.
Oh yeah,
than in San
and she was
Francisco,
that chick was awesome. She was fucking awesome. But she let me keep my tips, and
Oh, heck yeah.
she let me drink for free. and I was not on the books at all.
Dude, you can't beat that.
And that was it.
I've
Like,
been
and
I've been trying to do that.
The thing is like in Korea, like 97% of people just wanted a beer.
Yeah.
Really? That's it?
Yeah, and the other ones just wanted whiskey, and I was like, "This is the easiest fucking
Hell
job
yeah.
you could
I
ever have." And then you would get like the abo be like, "I want a fucking Scooby snack," and you're like,
What the hell?
"I don't know what the
You
fuck
just
that is."
pour the
Yeah,
bar
like-
mat into the cup, and here you go.
So that's the thing
Call it
over there.
a bar
So
shot.
there's a bar over there called I know what the bar mat shot is. That's like a fucking
Yeah.
Nasty as fuck.
There's a bar over there called the Whiskey A Go Go,
Oh yeah.
and it's named after, I don't know if you get the Whiskey A Go Go is a really famous bar in LA.
Because when we did we did an episode a while back, and we was talking about the Whiskey A Go Go, and I was trying to research and find pictures of it. I found the Google map of it in South
LA.
Korea, but
The one you found the one
well,
out.
I couldn't find any pictures of the one in Korea. But when I Googled it, the one popped up from LA, and I was like that, and it just showed a picture, and
And you're like, "There's no way."
that's not it. I was like, I can't find that.
No, there's it's a cool place.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's like it's very very unique. But
It's like the Beatles didn't play in Korea.
Yeah, they do a thing there where when all their bottles get below an inch, they just pour them into a big bowl, and they let it sit up on top of their freezer in the bar, and then once it gets full, like everybody takes a
So
drink.
you're just drinking a shit ton of people's backwash?
and it's just whatever.
No, it's not bad. No, I'm talking about the
No,
bottles from,
it's,
like,
it's the leftover
bar
bottles
mat
from behind the
like-
bar. Whenever
From
they
them
get
pouring
under an
them?
inch,
Yeah.
they
Oh, okay.
So it's
Okay.
like a hot mix of fucking everything.
Everything.
From like some will be like fucking peppermint schnapps, and then some
Oh,
like fucking
man.
Cuervo, and you just never know.
Disgusting.
And it's a different ratio every time.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
we were always there, and then we did New Year's there, and I ate the hottest pepper I've ever had in my life, and got shit faced by 4 p.m. and passed out. And
That's the rolly chair incident with the elevator, wasn't it? Yeah.
that was a buddy of mine, but it was the same guy. Yeah, I had this buddy Tim, and he passed out in my room, and he passed out in my computer chair in my dorm room, and so I wheeled him down the hallway into the elevator. I duct taped him to it, then I wheeled him down the hallway, and I drew a dick on his forehead, and I just left him in the elevator, and then like I woke up at like 11 a.m. the next morning, and I was like, "Where's my chair?" I was like, "Oh shit, and I like
Literally left him in the Vader.
and I ran down the hallway, and he was wide awake, duct taped to that chair, just like.
He couldn't move?
But people had been taking the elevator, and they had all just left him there in the corner.
What
of
do
the
you
elevator.
do with that guy? I mean,
He was
Is he
so
supposed to be
pissed,
there?
but he didn't know about the dick on his head. So like he lived in a different building, like across the street. So he went over to his room, and then they immediately had like a fire drill where everybody had to leave their dorms and like go out into the yard, and he was the guy standing there with the dick on his head and not knowing why people were laughing.
oh
you
my
serious?
god,
You're not lying at all.
Not one
that's
bit.
got to be one of the funniest
That's-
stories.
I-
And
ever.
I was,
Swear.
and then he was like, "You motherfucker!" And I was like,
Oh my god.
"What?"
I'd come back with a vengeance and be like, but how
Can
do
you
top
imagine
that?
some
How
of
do
the
you top that?
reactions he got?
Oh my god.
It was awesome.
He's probably like, I'm a stand-up guy, please.
Oh man.
Or
I'm
roommate's
sure
just
he
a
was
dick.
like, "Will you push me to my room?" And people were like, "No, dude."
And people were like, there was people like making out in the elevator and shit. And he's just sitting there like duct taped to the armrest, like,
Oh my god.
fuck my life.
Hey, free show.
Yeah, it was bad. But it was good.
So,
This is how we roll.
getting back to off of our tangents that we've been on. Like we've talked about the Packers and we've talked about the Razorbacks.
Yeah,
all
become
bad.
fans, motherfuckers.
Getting back to bartending. So you had bartending kind of took a lull in action through a few hundred years because it was mainly just beer and wine. But then you started getting some more creative cocktails and stuff as time went on. But then one of the most devastating things happened to mixologists and bartenders happened in the earliest 20th century.
Prohibition.
And that kind of put a grinding halt to things. So you had the bartending during the Prohibition era, and it's actually one of those things where people or bartenders literally took their skills underground
To the speakeasies.
to the speakeasies.
Yep.
That's where speakeasies originated from?
Speakeasies.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in one?
Yeah.
Where?
Dallas, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know the name.
So
of
it's
it.
like a trend now where they actually have like trendy speakeasies.
Yeah.
So do you know why it was called a speakeasy?
No.
Okay, so you would go into an ice cream shop, say next door right here. You go to an ice cream shop, and you would say a code word, and you'd say, "I need a whatever, a blue."
This is so
blue,
funny.
a blue snow cone.
This
right?
is so
Whatever.
funny that you're saying this.
And they say, okay, and they would lead you to the back and take you through a secret door or a back office, and you would go downstairs into a secret bar that was whatever, and that was a speakeasy because you spoke secretly, you spoke quietly, and you gave a code word that the government or the cops didn't know about, and you would go to a secret bar because back then during Prohibition, alcohol was illegal.
Right.
So you would it was secret bars, so then you had to have the code word to get in.
I never knew that's where speakeasy was.
Speakeasy is a term for the lingo that it took
Yeah.
to get into the area that would sell you the alcohol.
And now
I
it's a
have
trend. There's like legitimate like ice cream shops or butcher shops and stuff like that are legit ice cream shops and butcher shops, but they also have a bar in the basement.
That's
and if you
so
know the
cool.
code word, you
Bro,
can get in.
I got to tell
Nice.
this story. So my best friend got married out in Denver, and for his bachelor party, his brother is a college professor at University of Chicago, and he set everything up, and we went to a fucking ice cream shop
yeah.
and walked in, and he made a special order, and they opened up a refrigerator door that was a fucking real refrigerator, and then opened up the back, and we walked through
Oh, that's
into a
cool.
speakeasy.
That's
Yeah.
cool
Denver.
as fuck.
That's bad.
Yeah, there's
That's
something
bad.
like they give you a coat, parka, and you go down and it's like a refrigerated, and you're down there and like, and you
Dude,
have,
that's
And bro, there
amazing.
was families ordering fucking Sundays, and they were just like, "What the
And you
hell?"
see-
And we just rolled through, like eight of us fucking
VIP.
dudes, like eight of us
Walk in
dudes
wearing
walked
suits
into
and
the
you-
refrigerator, and they were like, "What Dr. Seuss shit is this?"
yeah, it's like a scene
That's
out of the mob.
hilarious.
Yeah,
to my buddy Pat's fucking bachelor party.
And that's
Yeah,
one of the
we
things I
rolled
wanna
right
do.
down in.
yeah.
Dude, that's fucking cool.
I
It
would
was
like to open
amazing.
a bar
but it's
like
so
that.
funny
That's
that
one
you
of
just
mine.
said, because we had not talked about this before, and the way you said, yeah, ice cream shop, I was
Yeah.
like, motherfucker, I went to that ice cream shop.
That's funny.
There's places like that, and it's like a whole new trend now of the secret speakeasies where it's like it's like the cool thing to do, I guess
Yeah.
now as a
But
because it's like a thing where not very many people do it, so it's a high demand kind of thing. It's
It
a niche,
was-
it's a niche market.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I mean, it really was.
That's so cool.
It's probably really nice.
There's whole like
It was, and
clubs
it
now
was
that
like
do
it was
that.
like a really smaller, intimate
Yeah.
bar inside, and we got like some fancy drinks. Shit,
yeah, and it's like $20
I'm
a
not-
drink type places. It's
Wow.
like it's not.
but
You
it
gotta
was
keep it alive somehow.
totally worth it.
Yeah.
That's
Just
so cool.
the experience
Because
in
it-
itself was well worth the
Right.
cost.
Because
of
like the
beverages.
clientele that go there, it's only the people that know about it, and they don't advertise. It's only word
There's
of mouth.
there is one in Fayetteville.
Yeah,
Yes, there is one. We were talking about that last week. There's one in Fayetteville. I don't know the name of it, but yes.
I looked it up. I don't know, like a month ago because we had initially talked about kind of doing, and I didn't. Really.
I think they do like. I
I'm
think
not
they do
the
holiday
I'm not
too.
the research half of this podcast. I'm the
Hey, there's one on TikTok that's a
You're
laundromat.
the
Have you
character.
seen
the
that
laundromat.
one?
I haven't seen that one.
Carrot
Oh,
Top.
I
I
wanna
just
go
show
to that.
up.
He's
I don't know
the
where it's
color
at.
commentator.
Yeah.
You got the play by play and the
Talking
color.
about-
Yeah. so sticking on with Prohibition. So during the time of Prohibition, so for one thing, bartenders at the time were actually, it was kind of looked upon as a lower echelon position. Like they were kind of almost looked down upon. Like it was a job that really people didn't respect or anything like that. But then when Prohibition hit even further, because then that took away a lot of the bartenders' livelihoods. So if you didn't work for a speakeasy, you were out of
it
work.
didn't work.
Wow.
So a lot of the there was thousands of bartenders at the time. I mean, this is over the United States, the whole U.S. A lot of them moved actually out of the country
Down
to
to
find
Cuba,
work.
right?
And they moved to Cuba.
Yeah.
Wow.
And because Cuba at the time, it's only 90 miles away from Florida, and so
But
they,
it had a really hopping culture, at the time.
Right.
It was like the vacation spot.
it was like the Bahamas are right out there, but it was a close, easy access vacation spot
Not
for
super
Americans.
expensive.
It was a different country, so
Yeah.
it had different rules, so Americans could go there. And actually, that became like a huge vacation spot for Americans because you could go there and get a drink, and it was illegal in the States. So a lot of the bartenders from the U.S. moved to Cuba to be bartenders.
Wow.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, go down there and serve up some mojitos.
Right. I wonder what the most popular drink was back in those days.
Got to be rum related.
The
I wonder what the
mojito,
easiest alcohol to get a hold of was.
rum, because the
Rum has been around.
rum
since
originated
pirate days,
from
yeah.
the Bahamas. So you got Cuba, the Bahamas, and
Puerto Rico,
was all rum because it's
Haiti,
sugarcane
yeah,
plantations.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know much about my liquors, so
Well, we did an episode a while back
Yeah.
about pirates and Caribbean rum, and that's the Caribbean and those islands was their principal export was rum and molasses and sugar was what they exported.
So they had everything you needed.
Yeah,
Right.
You want to get drunk? Go to Haiti.
yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
And so we're planning on doing an episode later on about authors, and Hemingway, a famous American author, he lived in Cuba for a long time, and one of his favorite drinks was rum mojitos.
Wow.
And so
That's
they,
cool.
and so they drink a lot of rum down there. And in the pirates, we had our pirate episode that we did a while back, and that's how they fought off scurvy, was drinking rum and lime, was fighting off scurvy
Yeah.
with the pirates.
Huh.
I have. What is your best bartending story?
Oh God.
So this could be something that funny that happened, a fight that broke out,
Because we know.
a celebrity experience.
you know we're fishing.
What's
here.
your most memorable
God.
bartending experience?
The one that sticks with me the most is when I was serving. I was actually serving. I wasn't even bartending that night, but I was a bartender
Here?
at Chili's. It was at Chili's.
Oh, at Chile. Okay.
Yeah, so we have to, at Chili's, you have to card everybody that appears to be under 30. And it was like an hour before close, and there were these two ladies that came in, this lesbian couple, and sat down,
I didn't think it was going to go.
Wait, was
like,
I don't know if
you want me to go into detail? I don't know, a masculine woman and a feminine woman.
I was gonna say, who was the man? Who was
Yeah. So they came in, whatever.
I don't know.
But the feminine woman, she you could tell she was not 21. Okay, she was very short. She was very young in the face. And as soon as they sat down, they were ordering drinks, and I was like, "Well, can I see your IDs?" So they gave me their IDs. She handed me her ID, and you could tell I think it was like 89 was the year that she was born.
Damn.
I was like, "All right, this is obviously already off." And then I looked at the weight, and the weight was like
212.
it was double her weight. And then I
Oh,
looked
no.
at the height, and the height was taller than her. And I was like, okay.
Oh,
and mind
man.
you, the manager that was on that night he's like an ID Nazi. If you don't show an ID to him and there's beer on the table or something, he is going to rip you a new asshole. So I walk it back to him, and I'm like, hey, I think this girl just gave me either her mom's ID or a fake or something. I was like, can you go up here and verify it with her? So he takes the ID up there, and I'm like standing off to the side, kind of watching it go down. He's like explaining to her, well, this obviously doesn't match your demographics, so I'm not going to be able to serve you alcohol. Well,
Demographics.
She,
Oh
right?
man. Oh.
She gets pissed at me because I obviously had to escalate
you
to my
narc-
manager. So
you
I come
narc her out.
back to take their food order, because obviously I'm not going to give them any drinks. And she immediately is just like very testy with me. She starts. I asked the lady, well, what can I get you? Her girlfriend. And she goes, she wants da 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 da, and just. I was like, okay, well, I told her straight up. I said, if you guys are gonna act like this after what just happened, I'm not gonna be able to serve you. And I went back, and then I walked away to give them some time to think about it.
Fair.
And I walked up to my manager and I said, hey, they're obviously upset about me not being able to serve them alcohol. She's being very testy with me, so I let them know if they're gonna act like this, I'm not gonna serve them. He was like, okay, that's reasonable. And so I walk back up to the table and they're like, we're leaving. So they're leaving. Meanwhile, I'm over here. I'm like, all right, that's fine. So I walk over to my other table. As they're walking out, this girl is going off. She goes, you bald-headed bitch. You ain't shit. She was like, meet me outside in the parking lot right now.
Meet me outside.
She was G'd up from the
Yeah,
field.
so my manager's coming up. He's like, ma'am, you have to leave. Like, literally having to pick her up and take her out. Mind you, I'm like, what, 5'10"? This girl is like maybe 5'1". She's like down here.
It's the little ones that are feisty.
I
know.
swear.
You gotta watch out, man. They'll scream in your ear.
She
They'll
was
bite.
calling me every name in the book. But the
Fight
one
dirty,
thing,
I tell you.
swear,
They'll get you.
But the one thing I remember is her calling me a bald-headed bitch and walking out. It's like,
That's so
and I was
funny.
like, hey, at least I can drink legally. But as she was walking out, she's like, meet me in the parking lot. I looked at my watch. I said, I get off in an hour. I'll see
Next
you then.
time I'm mad at you, I'm gonna totally
Call me
say
a
that.
bald-headed bitch. I was like, you know what? That's fair. It's true. But hey.
What percentage of your customers would you say are trying to pass an underage ID?
That's a good question. You know, I
Do you,
don't think I catch very many people because a lot of people that come in here, Gusanos, are regulars, so I
Yeah.
pretty much know who they are. But I haven't. I don't think I've had anybody try to get one over. I've had people order beer order beer for someone else and try to drink it in front of me and me be like, hey, like, you know, you can't do that. But other than that, I really haven't had anybody try to get over
Really?
on me on that. Yeah, surprisingly, I will say ABC came in. I don't know if you guys know what ABC
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
ABC came in one night, and
Did they-
legally they have to tell you, if you ask them straight up, are you under 21, they have to say yes. So ABC walks in one night, we're dead. It's just them two that come in. It's this older guy and this younger girl. They sit up at the bar and I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, whatever, I'll get them some beers. So they order beer and she goes, can I get a beer? And I was like, yeah, what do you want? She was like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, do you want a bottled beer? Do you want on draft? And she was like, yeah, bottle's fine. So I'm pulling out this beer. I have already given him because he looks over 30. I'm pulling out this beer, and as I'm about to uncap it, I'm like, you know what, this is kind of weird. And I was like, actually, can I see your ID? She pulls it out, and the year wasn't right. I looked at her and I was like, you're not 21, are you? And she goes, no. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I can't serve you. Put the beer back by the grace of God, and they walked out. That was the end of it. But had I given her that beer right there,
yeah.
I would have been fired on the spot.
Yeah.
But it was like something told me, I was like, something's weird about
You had
this.
the spidey sense go off in your ear.
Yeah, thank God. I literally was
Yeah,
really about to
and-
top it off.
F them for
Yeah.
coming in
Dude,
so late.
such
It's
assholes,
like,
dude.
hey, we're normal people too. Like we want to finish our jobs and go home
Right.
too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You know, I've heard
Jesus.
of them doing that. They'll send somebody in, even that looks young but is
Yeah.
21, and they'll go in to see if they get it
See if they
because
get
there's
They
some
get
places
ID'd.
to see if they even get ID'd because they look young.
You know, dude, I never got ID'd in my life until I was over 21.
Really? Wow, that's crazy.
But it was weird because it was like my 21st birthday was the first time I got ID'd.
Oh, you're
And-
probably pissed, huh?
And I was like,
Well,
yes,
no.
I'm
It was
21.
kind of. It was cool, but it was shitty because it was in North Carolina, and I had gotten to know everybody at this bar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they all just because I was there for like a year and a half,
Before you turned 21?
and they had been
oh,
serving
man.
me the whole fucking time.
Did they know?
Yeah.
And well, they found
man.
out.
When they
And
carted him, they found out like
they
you're just
hired,
now.
They had hired a new bartender, and it was at a Logan's Roadhouse.
You had been
That
going to a
is a-
Logan's
and I-
Roadhouse for a year.
Yeah, and I went in there, and they had hired this new bartender, and it was like literally my 21st birthday. And
Damn.
they were like, "Can we see your ID?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Okay, you're good now." And everybody else was like,
Imposter.
and I was like, "Bitches."
Y'all never asked.
Yeah, but they hadn't, and it was because everybody I hung out with was
Yeah,
like a year
Dude,
older than
when
me.
I was in high school. I had this buddy that was. We were all on the football team together, but this kid. I mean, he was the same age as me, but he was in high school. Think of it, a senior in high school. You're 18 years old. He was 6'2", 270 pounds. He was an offensive lineman. He had a full beard.
hung.
Just look like a
Don't ask me.
Like a horse. No, but this dude looked like he was 25, but he was in high school, and so he was our beer bitch. Like we're like, hey, we're going to the beer store, and you're buying. Like here's the money. Like, and
Send him in.
we'd
You
go
just roll in.
send him in, and like he was like, all right.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, he was this guy that was like, he was so laid back and like reserved. He's like, "Are you sure this is okay?" You know, and like he was one of those guys that could crush you if he wanted to, but you know,
he was gentle.
He was
Timid,
a
right,
gentle
yeah.
giant. And he's like, "Yeah, you need to go buy his beer." And it's like, "Okay, let's go do it."
Just depressed. Okay.
Okay, big ogre.
Still got beer.
But yeah, we'd take him and then he would we'd go party out in the woods with our
That's funny.
the cases of beer they bought us in high school. Yeah.
On a managerial front, when a customer gets unruly
Yeah.
with your customers or with your employees,
Right.
you have to step in. Have you ever had a throwdown?
So
Greatest story to ever happen at Gusano's. I'll say that.
obviously,
I'm lighting the fuse here.
So it's cool because tonight's Wednesday night. This event happened on a Wednesday night. It's trivia night, which trivia is a unique crowd because obviously a certain type of person plays trivia, right?
You got nerds that like to drink.
Yes. And so it's an interesting crowd. A lot of the same orders, you know. Anyway,
Disclaimer, these guys are in here almost every Wednesday for trivia. They just so happen to not be in here
They
this
were
one
not
night.
in here this one night.
I was in here this night. He
Yeah,
was.
you were.
I don't know why
He was.
I had to stay home for some reason, and
I texted him
full,
afterwards.
full disclosure, I'm not afraid to throw a punch,
Shut the fuck up.
same.
but I didn't.
Same.
I did
We're gonna
not-
get to that.
I wasn't here for this whole event.
So
It was great.
the night gets going. I'm the manager, but we have a short staff situation in the kitchen. So I remember that night feeling like I needed to focus on the kitchen like a little bit more. I needed to actually be in the kitchen. Long story short, a group comes in slightly before trivia, and they're sitting at kind of some of our nicer spots. And it's kind of weird to me, but I think I remember I may have checked with you, like, hey, is so-and-so coming? Because they're in their spot, and it was one of those nights where maybe some of our regulars aren't coming.
Yeah.
And this guy, when we went back and watched this thing on film, this particular person...
Do you still ooh,
Party foul.
party foul. Do you still have this on film? Can we
I believe so.
Can we get a copy of this?
I
Can
don't
we put this
know.
on the podcast? Can we put this on YouTube?
I don't know.
For legal purposes, I'm not sure.
And that's the thing, too. There are still...
We took
Oh, there's still
pending
legality.
charges.
I would bet probably not.
Dang.
So-
all right, we'll have to do a follow-up episode when this.
Yeah.
We will
Where
draw
are
you
they
guys
now?
cartoon sketchboards.
So, very particularly weird group of people comes in. And in my mind, I remember thinking early on, they must have thought they were coming to JJ's and just ended up here. and
Absolutely. It's a
and
different
just went
crowd
with
over
it.
there.
But
Absolutely.
so on film, before everything happens, man, this guy is just so he's somewhat of a wannabe bodybuilder or halftime.
He started
bodybuilder.
off okay, but then he just got worse
And
and worse.
he's
just hit-
here with his
Yeah.
girlfriend and his son. His son has a girlfriend. I think his son's dog
Wait, how
is
old
here.
is
And they just,
This-
but
no,
then they
you think
left
he
at some
is.
point. Like, we're tired of your shit, so they left.
They brought this big ass Great Dane. I'm talking.
Yeah.
This motherfucker was
The dog
huge.
The
I
dog
didn't
was
even know
awesome.
there was
Dog
a
was the
dog.
best part.
Yes,
forgot
he
about-
was huge. He was the
And
best part.
the
I
dog
forgot
was a
about the
sweetheart.
dog. The dog was awesome.
And they said service dog, and we allowed it. Now I learned from this that service dogs are trained to not sit on the furniture. They had actually had the dog on the furniture.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was sitting on the bar,
Yeah.
on the thing right
kept
over there.
falling
yeah.
out of the seat.
So I
as a
actually
matter of
learned
fact.
about that.
A big
from
old
this
puppy.
know
event.
that.
It was
Wow.
great.
But so anyway,
Best
long
dog.
story short, it
like
ends up that we have another very regular table to us come in, and they happen to sit next to this table. And they're pretty prominent customers, and good rapport with the bartender. Very regular on certain days of the week, Wednesday being one of them, and awesome, cool. We're doing okay. Well, this guy, he starts to get, in my opinion, like he's showing symptoms of like having taken something behind it besides alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was.
He started getting aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's being touchy-feely, and he's trying to interact with other people than the people that are with his party.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm like, okay, I have to watch this because he's going to cause an issue eventually with these other guests who he's close with. The guests that were sitting next to him, They were having a good night, I would say, up until a certain point.
Yeah.
And they're being interactive to a certain extent.
It was friendly up to that point because they were just kind of bullshitting back and forth, maybe a little trash talk back and forth, but nothing serious. It was like normal banter that you would expect back and forth between like teams that were competing and stuff like that.
Right. Well, he was trying to hit on the two girls, the two married women at the table.
Of that.
Two women were married and their husbands were there, and that's what set it off. It's because the husband was like,
bold.
Back the fuck up.
So very bold. Yes. So
bold move, Cotton. That's how it works out.
I wouldn't advise it.
To escalate things, a third married couple joins the party.
Oh God, I forgot about them.
Yes, joins the party that is
dude.
next to the group.
Big old dude, yeah.
Big old
He was a
dude.
big old dude.
And so,
I had to deal with it.
yes. And so when that guy
Yeah.
joins the party, he finally is the guy that says, dude, you need to STFU, shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
And, this guy that's been all, fucking all over the place is like, hey, fuck you.
I make more money than you.
He had so much to say about all the money he made. He's like,
Yeah, he was bragging about like he was making.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Right. He made
Right.
a point to say he had more money.
Yeah.
and then I don't know eventually how it boiled over, but I believe the aggressive guy that ended up fighting everybody, he finally takes a swing at the third husband that joined this group.
Big dude.
Yeah.
And when he did,
Oh, man.
he tried to go literally from point A to point C. And when he did that, drinks are gone, tables are getting
Beers
knocked
are
over.
flying.
I think he elbows a girl, and in reaction to that, one of the girl, which I say girl, she's a wife of one of these other patrons.
Yeah.
She then tries to hold him back and just rips his shirt in half. It was this whole scene. Tables are falling over, drinks are flying. Dude gets hit. Eventually,
I'm
gets hit.
screaming.
Yeah,
I'm like,
because-
get
no,
out!
because
People are screaming.
I was over here.
It all
then.
happens like right over here.
It was right over here and I was at the end of the bar, right over there, talking to Megan, and I just was.
You're like,
I'm pretty sure your whole table gets obliterated.
And I'm sitting there just saying, "Hey, what's up?" or whatever, and Megan's like, "Oh no, look!" And I turn around and there's a fight right in my face,
Literally right next to the guy.
Seriously.
and like the big dude comes stumbling back, and I just grab him. And she says, "Get him!" And I grabbed him, and then he.
The other guy's an instigator.
So I think he got hit at that point.
Yeah.
So I'm calling the cops. One of the wives literally says to me, "Don't call the cops. We're fine." And I'm like,
No, we're not.
I'm like, I remember
pandemonium
saying,
this is the opposite of fine.
I remember literally saying to her,
said, like-
"Who the fuck do you think you are?" I was like, "You don't work here." Like, I'm calling the cops. Do you see this?
Yeah.
And it was weird. It was it was so
blew
weird.
outside.
So
Yeah.
the guy who was really aggressive and started it all, his whole party tabs out and leaves.
Yeah.
And they're gone fast.
Yeah.
But they're in the parking lot.
He has one or two of his kind of buddy crony guys hanging around him. They're kind of talking shit, whatever. Everyone goes outside. I'm on the phone with now my owner after calling the cops. Every
Yeah.
time I call the cops, I call my owner. Hey, man, call the cops.
How many
This is what's
times have
going
you
on.
had to call the cops?
Today,
Today.
3 times.
You
We had it today. Yeah, over that guy.
the homeless guy.
over the guy.
Oh yeah.
Right, we'll get into that later.
Chattanooga choo choo.
Yeah.
Not to be a dick.
So,
finish the fight, and we'll get into
so
that.
to finish the story,
Yes.
I learned so many lessons from this, from being assaulted here. Anyway, to finish the story, I get on the phone as their group is ushered out finally. The most aggressive guy being like one of the last 3 guys that would go. I get on the phone with my owner and I step outside the front door. If I could go back, I'd never do that. I would have just locked the door.
You isolated yourself.
Totally did. I totally did. So I step outside the front door and maybe take a couple steps outside the front door, and he sees me on the phone from, I would guess, maybe 30 yards away. Yeah. And
It's like a charging grizzly.
he's coming at me. And
determined.
I'm on the phone with my boss, and I'm like, hey, man, we're good, dude. And looking back on it, like I should have been ready to go.
Only
Right.
one of you was good.
Yeah. And
At this moment, I realized.
yes.
And it's like when someone's running at you, like for the
like,
moment
is
before
this guy
you're
running at me?
like your mind is going,
Me?
what's happening right now? And then it's like,
And I would
shit.
tell.
fuck, like,
I would tell the
it's
girls.
go time and I'm late.
I would tell the girls later on, like in that moment, I was more thinking of like, yeah, we need to get this guy out of here. And when he came at me, even at that moment, like, you know, when you're like facing a guy and the knuckles are up and whatever's been said or whatever's going down, like you have that moment where it's like, it's go.
Yeah.
Like, and the anger, the
you were not
aggression,
afforded that moment.
the adrenaline. And
I guess we're doing this.
so he comes at me, and weirdest thing. So the dude, okay, he's got a little bit of height and a little bit of weight on me, for sure. Like, probably not just a little bit. And he's more muscular. But the dude grapples me. Like, he doesn't come at me and is like, boom, boom, boom. He comes at me and puts me in, like, a chokehold, and then, like, tries to, like, bear down on me.
He tries to know when
Mind you,
Ryan
he's,
is.
he's in a corner. Mind you, he has nowhere to go. Bobby is backed up into the corner.
So when he bodies me up, I'm right out the front door in a corner, and the
Nowhere
doors
to go.
are shut.
And then Megan goes, look, and I was like, oh shit.
And I'm literally just flailing my arms. Like, if I can hit gut, I'm hitting gut. If I can hit head, I'm hitting head.
Yeah, you gotta do what you can do.
That's all I'm
What you
doing.
gonna do?
You're probably biting. You're like,
I probably was.
motherfucker.
I would.
I probably was.
No holds barred at that point.
And one
but
funny
assholes with
moment.
elbows.
One funny moment from all that. So some of the regulars who were involved in the altercation, they're at the door. And one of them is a good friend and a good regular, and his name's Ryan. And
Coming off the top rope in there.
Ryan, at this
He's the
point,
Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty.
at this point, Ryan like kicks open the door, and the doors they don't like they come back closed very fast. And Ryan throws one punch and hits, and he may have had one of the best hits on the guy all night. And the door shuts, and here I am in the corner in a chokehold.
Nothing else.
I'm alone again.
You just riled these
Thanks,
motherfuckers
Ryan.
up.
Appreciate
No,
the
it was
effort.
literally like 3 guys on Bobby, and Bobby by himself in this corner.
So, dude, cops show up. Dude, literally, he had a hat on to start the whole night. Both of us lost our hats in the altercation. He took my hat and ran. And he runs across the street.
That's when you know you fucked up. Like, when you're just like, I have to get a hat. I don't care if it's mine or not, but I'm out of here.
I gotta get it going.
So that dude, I don't know if he was arrested with a Gusano's hat on, but he totally stole a Gusano's hat that night.
Yeah, he dipped over to JJ.
So he runs across the street.
So we're recording this episode and we don't even get a Gusano's hat. Do we need to start a fight to get a Gusano's hat? Is that what we're gonna do?
Good question. Good question.
Yeah, with the owner.
Yeah.
So they end up finding the guy underneath a jacked up truck in a JJ's parking lot. And they're like, hey, what are you doing down there? And apparently the guy said, I'm taking a piss. And he's like laying down
No,
under
he
a
did
truck.
not.
Yeah.
And of course
Oh
they
my
drag him
God.
off. They arrest him for a PI that night. And I'm pretty sure he lives in another state, works in another state, but he's wanted in this county now for a couple assaults.
He's got a warrant out
fucking
for him.
dead. Oh, and
I can't go back to Fort Smith. I got
back to
warrants.
the Great Dane. The
Fuck
Great
trivia.
Dane poked a hole in our booth.
Are you serious?
So they had to pay to get the entire section
Yeah,
reupholstered.
so we redid.
Shit.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah.
not bringing my
I felt
duffel
so bad
case.
for that dog. He was basically collateral. It
No,
was
the
like-
Great Dane was so sweet too. I
Oh,
petted
he
him
was.
that
So
night.
sweet.
He was an awesome dog.
He was uncomfortable. I mean, because
For
they were
sure.
in here
He
for
could tell
hours.
that it was
Because
like
he was with an
tense-
asshole.
Oh,
all
and
night.
the funniest part about it all is his girlfriend, the guy who started it all, the instigator. His girlfriend's walking around with like mascara running down her face,
It was
talking
weird.
to his son about how like he treats her like shit and all this other stuff. She's
was
starting
real
to
weird.
walk over to other tables,
She
start
was, she was,
flirt with
she
other
was
people.
like closer to his son's age than
than his age.
Was she
yeah.
hot?
She's pretty. She's pretty, but it was like
She was also like probably half his size.
she right.
Yeah.
But she was like one of them. She looked. It was like, oh girl. I was like,
Oh,
you
man.
fucked up there.
She had
but-
set her path.
Yeah, that shit. That was
So that was
hilarious.
the most violent managerial story. I have tossed a couple out of an Outback Steakhouse for having sex in the bathroom.
What?
Swear to God. Swear to God. 100%
So we're
true.
knocking boots in the bathroom?
It was.
Did somebody
this-
bring it to your attention, or did you just happen to?
Someone
butt
brought it to my attention. Unfortunately, we had a witness. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Was it? I mean, was it that unfortunate? Were they ugly?
Yes.
Yes. That's
Was
like
it
the
that
question
awkward?
because it's one of those things. Like if it, like it's one of those things that are you creepy or are you sweet? It depends on how hot you are.
It was creepy.
You know?
Yeah.
That's totally a thing. Like, that's real.
So we had this semi-regular, and she would come in. She would drink wine, usually by herself. She would stay for hours. She would always Uber. It was very peculiar, but also she, always
Normal.
tipped. Somewhat normal. One day she comes in with a male,
Oh man.
and she's a bigger woman, older woman, obviously
Sexy.
single.
Sexy.
And she comes in.
Knew what she
She
wanted.
comes in with a man, and
point.
it fits a certain Arkansas stroke: bigger woman, smaller man. And I swear to God, bartender notices
Like
they're
a
both
scrawny
gone.
male. That's
Yes.
what you're talking about. Little
Yes.
crackhead looking dude. I know
Bartender-
exactly what you're talking about.
Bartender, this is a classic Arkansas thing. Bartender notices they're both gone, notifies manager, hey, I've got an unpaid tab and I don't know where these people are at. At the same time, a hostess had to go do a bathroom check, and they're in there.
They're knocking
and
boots.
Were they in the stall or something?
They were in a stall, but the door was not locked.
Oh, the lifted
They were
door.
that
is-
intoxicated.
Oh,
They were that
God.
intoxicated. And of course, the hostess immediately understood that a male was in the female bathroom.
Oh no!
But
What if he identified as?
So what you're saying is the wine did its trick.
Oh yeah. And I don't think the hostess saw anything that she
Yeah.
hadn't been exposed to before. She understood what was going on,
Right.
very obviously. But
gotta figure this
that was
So what'd you
weird.
do?
Well, I gotta call the cops.
So you hit us with another fact. I'm dying to know.
Hit another fact. Okay. So up until this point, bartending was so up until the Prohibition Act, and then and even after Prohibition was repealed, bartending was a very male-dominated industry.
which is like somewhat surprising when you think about it by today's standards.
Yeah.
But like back in the day, that's like
A lot
That
of
makes
industries
sense.
probably were
we're so
male-dominated anyway.
dick dominated at the
Yeah,
time. But
but-
I mean,
So and it's actually funny how it happened to me because it was kind of by accident. So it was very male dominated up until World War II. So you had the Volstead Act was repealed in 1933 with the repeal of Prohibition. And then it was still a male dominated industry up to that point. And then World War II happened, and most of the males drafted and war age or draft age males went off to war. So then you had females were taking the place of industry in the United States and even in Europe during the war, taking even construction and assembly and manufacturing jobs, and even in service industry
Rosie the
jobs.
Riveter.
Rosie the Riveter, yeah. So that happened. So but then females started working into these in the service industry and in bartending at that point too. So women started coming in more into the bartending industry at that point during World War II. So and it was crazy because then after the war, after that happened, a lot of women, when the males came back to the job, a lot of females lost their jobs because males came back, and it was still technically a male-dominated industry. But then there's a few studies that came out that bars and hotels and restaurants made more money when females were bartending than it was when males.
Yeah.
So then, at that point, during the late 50s and early 60s, when they started doing revenue research and business research into how certain industries made money, and they realized that female bartenders made more money than male bartenders did.
Hell yeah, they do.
And so that's when actually the bartending industry kind of took a turn. Then after then is when they actually realized that they could make more money by employing females as bartenders.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think? I have to ask. What was the thinking when it was established that we weren't going to allow men to serve? Is it because the appeal of women just?
Well, I mean, if I look at it, so if you want to look at it
Because we don't allow men to serve here.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. It's all
Well,
women.
so, I mean, and it actually, if you talk about it in a
Did
blunt,
you know that?
I do know that, although I have to be careful about what I
I
say.
was about to
Okay,
say, maybe I shouldn't
so-
say allow. We
so
just.
so you
just
can't
hire
say
women
it,
service.
but I can say it. So here's the thing. So people don't want to admit it, but sexuality sells.
Right.
And
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the whole fucking point of Hooters.
yeah, exactly. No,
and
exactly.
Twin Peaks and
that's why there's
fucking,
that's why there's not a
Uh,
popular
yeah,
chain.
walk-ons, fucking.
But
But
Kill
we
the
don't have
Kill.
like a
at different
set. Yeah.
places.
No,
Yeah, but I
And
mean,
it doesn't even have to be
Yeah, I
obvious though,
didn't-
because
Well-
that's why there's not a Tallywhackers restaurant that's popular because
I
nobody.
have an idea.
no,
The answer is unequivocally no.
I would gladly be a manager
so,
there.
like, to directly answer her question, like, the right male could serve here.
Yeah.
Or bartend here.
yeah,
And we've been really close to going that way before. But if we didn't have to,
well, so if
would
you
you
look at
do?
you look at bar
Yeah.
you look at bartending and the bar patronage, and bar patronage is
It's majorly male.
Predominantly
yeah,
male.
absolutely.
yeah, and if you look at that, then the patronage or customers want to interact with females, and they're more likely to spend more money with a female server or bartender than they are with a male bartender.
I
server.
can agree with that because, and I mean, in all seriousness, the year that I bartended in Korea, where I got to keep my tips, I can definitely say that the female bartenders made way the fuck more.
Yeah.
And if you, I don't know what your situation like was in Korea, but you probably made more off of females.
Well, I mean, look at me.
I fucking told.
And so
Yeah,
that's
no, I
yeah.
did.
I get
like
it, yeah.
in all seriousness, yeah, I did.
It's part
I
of
made,
it,
I made way
and-
more, but like fucking less than 10% of the bar patrons
Exactly.
are
Are
female,
females. Right.
And I mean,
So, yeah.
granted, and I mean, skewed as it may be, outside of Osan Air Base in Korea, where the majority of the population is male, it's going to be skewed. But even in just any fucking town in the U.S., the majority of your bar patrons are going to
Gonna
be
be guys.
Are going to be dudes,
Yeah.
whether they're going out to
whether it's
try
trivia
and get
night
some
or
ass, or
watching
they're going to go hang
football.
out with a buddy from
Yeah.
work, or there's
Right.
something on TV they want to watch. It's just,
Yeah.
it is how it is.
Right.
It's dudes want to talk to chicks.
And dudes
Yeah.
are more likely to, consume more alcohol than women.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all kind of baked into it, for sure.
Yeah, it really just boils down to it's a business profile or a business model that men spend more money in bars, and men are more likely to spend more money in a bar if the staff is female.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, that does make
wholeheartedly.
sense. Yeah.
So I mean, it's crazy to think though. So one of the last facts that I have right here, there were several states up until the mid 20th century that actually barred or banned females as bartenders, as bar staff in bars.
Wow.
And one of the last states that barred females as bartenders was California, one of the most progressive
Really?
What?
states.
Why?
That's shocking.
And so up until 1971, barred females as bartenders for serving alcohol in establishments.
That's not
That's
all
crazy.
that
10
long
years
ago.
after.
It wasn't very long ago at
That's
all.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
Wow.
But then once again, they realized that they made more money.
Costing them a lot of money.
They cost them some money. Yeah.
Yeah. Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, as a woman, we do have a lot more privilege when it comes to being in like predominantly male career, things like that. Because, like you said, it obviously started off with more male and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, bartending as a woman, you can make really good money without having to do a lot.
And
I think even not even with bartending though, even just waiting tables, even if you're
Yeah.
at a restaurant that doesn't even serve alcohol, period, you're at a restaurant. I mean, a girl can come up to a table and put on a smile and talk to the customers,
Or if you are a dude and puts on a smile, you're gonna look creepy as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. So you stand better chance of making more money as a female at a normal just a restaurant than you would a male.
Personality will get you a long way.
It will.
You really
It will.
don't even have to be like really fucking pretty, because I mean, I know a lot of not a lot of bartenders. I know a few bartenders that aren't like, wow, she's beautiful, and she makes good ass money.
Way to be cocky.
Hey, no, I'm not speaking for myself. I will
No,
say
but
this.
also too.
But that's true, because that goes a long way, because they say personality goes a long way. If you go up to a bar and the bartender's an asshole, I don't care if it's a male or female. If they're a dick, I don't want to give them any money. I might even just go somewhere else.
Right.
But that's where
if they're cool,
bartending, like male, female, whatever, like it requires
There's a touch
a
to it.
certain
Right.
personality type where you have to
There's
be able
personality,
to
charisma.
shoot the shit and act like you give a fuck.
Yeah,
Somewhat.
Whether you don't
you
even
do
have
or
to
but I
care,
mean,
but you just act like
whether
that.
you do or not. But the talent is, if you're having a shitty day, you have to be able to turn it off.
Yeah.
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 Which
and then
I'm
Get it
fortunate. If I'm having a shitty day, we're gonna have to. I can
I
double fuck
know.
off.
It's hard sometimes. I will
It
say
is.
though, being
Yeah.
being able to acclimate is probably your biggest power as a bartender, because you have to be able to read what they say,
Well,
read the room, like understand.
Right.
One bar
being able
guest
to
isn't going to be
relate.
interested in the same as, so
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
gotta gauge what they like.
Absolutely.
And
And
you have to gauge what they like. So you're not going to have the same
definitely a
conversation
skill set
twice.
that comes with that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so-
And being able to be flexible, be able to like, hey, that person likes that thing, but that person doesn't. So
Right.
being able
Yeah.
to transition between customers and
Well, and not, like if there's a couple knowing whether or not to address the male or the female, or
Right, yeah.
Absolutely.
I've never
Because
had a
some-
problem with that, thank God, but I'm
sometimes-
worried about that. Like,
but it's just be crazy.
I swear. Don't talk to my
Yeah,
man. That's
for
why I
real.
always, if I'm going to
Yeah.
talk to a table, and you can gauge them with how their personalities are. If I can tell, the lady's kind of standoffish, I'll talk to her.
you know what that
only and
means
not
though.
pay attention to her
If you
husband.
can't tell that you do it, you're good at it.
Hopefully.
Because you don't have to put effort into.
Right,
But
yeah.
because I've been in here with Keisha, and if you don't have to work on your balancing on who you talk to, then you're
Right.
obviously you like
Right.
it's a background skill set, I guess.
Exactly.
I'll say.
Yeah. And see, with Keisha, your wife, I mean, it's like I've obviously known you longer, and so therefore we have more of a rapport. But like whenever she's in here, it's like I still try to give her the same.
Yeah, and
because she's
she-
she's good at speaking to people. She knows
Yeah,
how to carry herself.
yeah,
So
she's
it's like
She's
I
cocky,
like
too.
I like couples. I like couples that I can shoot the shit with, like both of them.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, because there's you have certain customers that there's certain people that just look to get offended at anything.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
you have to tiptoe around certain people.
trigger folk.
Right, yeah.
Trigger folk, yeah.
Yeah.
But you always look forward to the regular customers that you don't.
That don't give you a lot of
That you
shit.
can re-
Yeah.
I was about to
See
say we
in
gotta,
line, yeah.
we gotta,
Tone it down a bit.
right.
Yeah.
We gotta, because we've got those regulars that come in here and we're like, God, I wish you'd just stay.
The
home
other
today."
thing too, like just to kind of wrap it back around with the post prohibition stuff, is just like no matter your concept, a good bartender, male or female, can have all those personal touch things baked in and still put out badass drinks and
Yeah.
put out a volume of drinks and handle a volume of sales. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It's just like in a lot of other industries, male or female can do the job.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, like, obviously, like, thank God, like, we're not living in
Right.
1970s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah,
people aren't allowed to,
absolutely,
put their skills to work. So
Yeah, because I will say I'm not the best looking bartender here, and I'm not the nicest bartender here. And there are some bartenders here that there's and especially in the past, we've had like really pretty bartenders, and people will just complain about their personalities all day long because they're just not.
or complain about the drinks.
Right,
Okay,
and-
so in
Yeah,
my
mine are
personal
free,
opinion,
so I'm gonna bitch.
my personal opinion on that is though, and I'll unpopular opinion. We'll go with that right here. So yeah, like you said, I'm paying for those drinks, and a person like that may have relied on their looks their entire life, and they have zero personality to back up that look,
Right.
and
Just
so they have
unrealistic
zero skill and zero
expectations, yeah.
personality. So like, I'm a bartender, but I'm hot, so I get by on it. But now I don't know how to make a mojito.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, man, your appeal is gone.
Or
what the fuck?
or I order a drink and it takes me 15 minutes to go pour a beer.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
no,
That's an issue, yeah.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
issue. So you have some people that rely too much on their appearance, and then
Yeah.
because I'll tell you what, and it may sound weird or not weird. It may sound offensive, but I've interacted with some ugly bartenders that were freaking awesome at their job because
Right.
they had a great personality. They told jokes. They made great drinks. They were fast. If you ordered a drink, like before you even got it out of
They
your
were
mouth,
really good
they were,
bartenders,
They were, pouring-
which
they were
is-
good at their job, and they interacted.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that's how.
And you know what? They made money, even though they may not have been the best looking
Right.
person
But I
in the
mean-
room or whatever.
And that could be, male or female.
Exactly.
If you're
Both
having
ways.
fun with a male bartender, you're
I
having
love
fun.
to see
You know
male
what I mean?
bartenders that have a great personality and like are good. I love to see it because you don't see it very often. So
Yeah.
it's like when you do, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like even at JJ's, the service might be ass sometimes, but if you sit at the bar with
It's
one of
hit
the
or
male
miss.
bartenders, they're 9 times out of 10 they're gonna be pretty fucking cool.
Well, there's
Yeah.
certain places you go, like certain bartenders working that night. I'm not even going to go there,
Right,
because
yeah.
because
You
I know I'm
learn.
not going to get good service, or
Right.
or they're going to be slow.
You've
Yeah.
already learned, like, you don't
Yeah.
vibe with that person.
Figured
Yeah.
it out.
And it's also, that's part of it too, is like, you're sitting down to have a cocktail or a beer. It's meant to be relaxing. It's meant to be
You wanna chill time. You
decompressing.
wanna do your chill
and
time.
so, a lot of times, like you just said, like, I was there 2 Wednesdays ago and that person was in a bad mood. And,
Right.
Yeah.
I'll try it some other
Yeah.
day, some other time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One bartender can ruin your entire experience at a restaurant.
Absolutely, you'll
So-
never go back.
Right.
All right, so I guess kind of to finish it up a little bit. So, do y'all have any bar tricks you want to show off before we sign off?
I don't.
Belt.
I've
I don't
got
have any. I don't have any.
I've got one.
What is yours?
What happened? You have that bottle cap that I had a while ago.
I just threw it away.
Take your empty bottle.
Alright.
So here's your bar trick you can make some money off of.
Okay.
I will give you $20 if you can blow that bottle cap out of the bottle, or into the bottle. You got to blow it into the bottle.
Blow the bottle cap into the bottle.
Into the bottle.
It's physics.
It's gonna be easy, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, try it again. Double or nothing this time.
I have to blow on the bottle cap
Blow-
in order to get it into the bottle.
Blow
That's
the-
what you're telling me.
Blow the bottle cap into the bottle. That's all you got to do.
Blow the bottle cap into the bottle. Blow the bottle cap into the bottle.
Yeah.
I don't. What the fuck? What's going on here? I don't understand.
Okay. So
My brain can't comprehend this.
this is literally impossible. This is a bar trick that you can use to make money off of people if they don't know physics. So when you're blowing into the bottle,
Yeah.
if you have a bottle cap right here,
Mm-hmm.
when you blow air basically on top of the bottle cap, and it goes into the bottle,
Pushes it back out.
And it
Huh.
accelerates.
it creates high pressure and forces the bottle cap out.
What the fuck?
And so actually, the harder you blow,
The faster it'll come out.
it'll blow back at you faster. Like blow in there as hard as you can. It comes out even harder.
That's fucking annoying.
So no matter how hard you blow, it forces it out that much harder.
I never knew that.
So it's impossible to blow a bottle cap into a bottle.
That's embarrassing. I just
Was it-
embarrassed myself for your podcast.
Was it totally worth it for the beer you
It
gave
was worth it for
Travis?
the gas.
So worth it.
Tax write-off.
So worth it.
Well, guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight at Gusano's, our local pub.
Our first unofficial sponsor of the year so far.
Yeah.
So we didn't even get a T-shirt out of this. I asked Megan about this earlier. If they've had any T-shirts in the back. And she
Megan
said-
literally told me that this was supposed to be tomorrow night.
I don't know shit about shit.
We'll come back tomorrow.
Yeah. maybe
They'll be here
I
next
have
week.
to apologize. My eyes look towards the light, but the camera's down here. So.
Yeah.
They'll be here next week, guys. Don't let them fool you.
So if you have
This is a true
a
story.
subject you want us to cover next week, we'll do it here again.
Yeah, throw it in the comments. Hit like, subscribe. Always don't drink and drive.
Yeah, always have a plan. Make sure you either have you an Uber, Lyft, sleep on your buddy's couch,
We try and do this.
sleep on the booth of the restaurant you're
There you go.
drinking
Yeah,
at right now.
they don't care. We sleep here all the time.
Yeah,
100%.
that's my booth right over there.
There you go.
Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you at our next podcast.
We appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.